There we go. So it doesn't have to interrupt somebody.
Nicole, Becky,
Yeah.
can you see me in the corner?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay. I mentioned to you that I might not be able to be here today. I've managed to find a way, but I don't know if my internet is going to hold.
Okay.
So get kicked out of the room. Can I, and I can get myself back in. Will you be having a waiting room that you then have to let me back?
Yep.
Okay,
Exactly.
so I want you to be aware that there may be a time when you need to let me back.
I'll be here the whole time.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem at all. It happens. People's internet is up and down for sure these days. I think it's because we're all using it so much. It's been busy. Internet life has been busy. Hello, Lisa. Very nice to see you. Very nice. Oh, I think I might have to put on the AC. Hey, Greg, how are you?
Mate, I'm all right, you?
Good, good, good.
In a while.
Excellent.
I'm all good there. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. I'm just gonna get my AC going here. La, 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 la. So does anyone have any good stories to tell? Somebody's got to have a good story or a good joke. Even a dirty joke would be fine. Absolutely acceptable in this environment. Hello, Ralph. Last minute there, I got you set up there. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.
And you're from Germany, are you?
Yep.
Excellent. So you're 8 p.m. where you're at, I guess?
Right. Yep. I will see how long I can hold myself up without falling asleep in front of the screen.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I did a class one time with Tony and Lynn, and they were in Australia, or they were, I don't know, actually, I guess it was online. So they weren't actually in Australia. But anyway, Australian time zone. So we were doing mediumship at 1:30 in the morning.
Oops.
I gotta try it, right? Just to see what it's like. And it actually is fine. Although, yeah, you get tired. So.
How many are we today?
Well, we will have somewhere around 45 people on.
Oh, wow.
Yes, exactly.
That's a big one.
It is. Yeah. I think we've got 50 in total enrolled, and people aren't always here in person, or they're in and out depending on their own schedule. So they'll watch the recording if that happens. But yeah, we've got a big group for sure. And my fellow Hawaiian buddies coming on. Fantastic. Another Canadian, Patty May. Yay. Great. Nothing against other nationalities. I just have to, hold the candle for the minorities here.
Hey, Nicole. I don't know if you remember me. I met you a few times. We did camp together with Tony Stockwell.
I do. Let me take a better look at you. Hi. Oh,
Elizabeth.
My gosh.
And I
Yes.
bumped into you in White Rock there, and I introduced myself too, and you were with your boyfriend at the time, now married, I hear. So
Okay.
Congratulations on all you're doing.
Great. And you're from White Rock, is that right?
Oh, no, I'm from Vancouver, but did a lot of mediumship with Shanley.
Yep. I remember you. It's
Yeah.
been ages.
And I've been working at the Oracle in West End. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. I love that you just mentioned Kelly.
Oh, I love Kelly.
Her.
She's
So do I.
She, you know, she was the first, she got me reading in, public, right? I was
Yeah.
at a meditation
yeah.
retreat, a Buddhist meditation retreat out in Squamish, out in at Alice Lake there. There's this amazing off-grid retreat
there
center.
it is.
Anyway, I'm there and I meet her and we're talking. I knew her, from,
Yeah.
she actually married me. In
Yeah, I
19
heard. I heard that. She was proud of it.
Yeah, but I'm in there, I'm talking, we're at lunch, and all of a sudden I blurt out, hey, I should be doing readings at your store. And I'm like, oh, when I put my hand over my mouth, like, who said that? And why would I say that? Right? I was horrified. My conscious mind was like, oh, and my self and my guidance was like, get your butt in there and work. And so she interviewed me and hired me, and it was the best thing ever. I always say to people, get out in public because it teaches you so much. And I'd love that because you could have like 10 minutes between readings and I could sit there and go, okay, what did I do wrong? Right? and sort of teach yourself,
But you know, there's no wrong.
well, you know what I mean? Like you
I
right
do,
after
I
the
do.
reading, you know what you left on the table, right? You know what you missed.
Yeah, I got a phone call one day in Seership, and one of the Palmerston town, Vicky Starfire, don't know if you know her. She called me up. She says, you're supposed to show up at the Oracle on Saturday. And that's when the Oracle just opened up in Seership, and met Kelly. And that's how I started reading out in public too. Yeah,
Do you read at the
very
Oracle?
interesting. Mhm.
Sandra, do you read
No.
at the Oracle?
No, not anymore, because I was traveling too much back and forth to the States with my husband. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, guys, we are here. Tony's
just-
here. Hello, Mr. Stockwell. Lovely to see you today.
Nice to see you all. Nice to see you all. Good. I'm slightly delayed. I'm sorry, everyone. I just got my little boy had a shower and he washed his hair and he put clean pajamas on and he just sat down and poured an entire glass of milk over himself. So then showered him and changed his pajamas. He's 34. No, he's fine. So but yeah, so nice to see you all. Nice to see Julan, my so sorry.
Everybody, please mute yourself if it's not your. Sorry, Tony.
That's okay. No worries. Sandra, hi Sandra. Selkie, lovely to see you again. Hello. Christy, hello Christy with a K. Lovely to see you. Hi. Katya, hello there. Hi. Laurie T. Hi Laurie, nice to see you. Karen D. Hi Karen. Elizabeth. Hi Elizabeth. Hello there. Michelle Campbell. Hi Michelle. Nice to see you. Sarah. Hi. A big electric cat. Hello. Andrea. Hi Andrea Hoyle. Hello there. Nice to see you. Lisa Stamper. Hi Lisa. Nice sweetheart. Wendy H. Hi Wendy H. Nice to see you, sweetie. Silka. Hello there. Hi. Nice to see you. So we have a Selkie and a Silka. We must make sure we get it correct. So, Danielle. Hi Danielle. Love to see you again. Yeah, you okay? I should see more of you soon. I know, but nice to see you. Laura. Hi Laura. Hi sweetie. Rani. Love to see you, Rani. Hello. Tara. Hi Tara. David Leah. Hi David. Hello there. Ashley Alstein. Hello Ashley Alstein. Are you fit, Ashley? Jogging? Okay, nice to see you. Not yet. Sherry. Hi Sherry. Nice to see you again. Hi Vera. Nice sweetheart. Hey Mac. Nice to see you again. Hello. Hi Princess. Hey Princess. Hello there, darling. Noelle. Hi sweetie. Hi Stacey Christopher. Hi Stacey. Are you home, Stacey, or in a hotel?
The hotel, so I had to volunteer this morning. So
Oh my God, you're so good.
I'm reeking of doggy forensics, so it's good that you all are at a distance.
I can only imagine. I was at it yesterday. I just came home from the stable. I smelt worse than the horse. It was just gross. Yeah, I've showered since. Nice to see you. Milena. Hi, Milena. Nice, sweetie. Patty May. Hello, Patty. Nice to see you again. Hello there. Minerva. Listen, you don't get many Minervas these days, so very nice to see you. So a lovely name.
And I want to
working with
may I just say I'm a fellow Vancouverite.
Oh, at Vancouver. Oh, very good. I've been there.
Lovely.
Many times. Very good. Jennifer Sansa. Hi, Jennifer. Love to see you again. Seems that only a few days ago we spoke last. Judy D. Hi, Judy. Hello, darling. Michelle Savicki. Hi, Michelle. Hi. Judy Speak. Hi, Judy. Love to see you. Hi. Kim Copeland. Hi, Kim. Nice sweetheart. Greg. Hi, Greg. You're English. Hi, Greg. I remember you. Nice to see you. Hi. Mary G. Hi, Mary. Love to see you again. Hello. Ralph. Hi, Ralph. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Hello. Leonie. Maybe I pronounced that very badly, but love to see you. I think Leilani, maybe. Nice to see you. Kelly Coulter. Hi, Kelly. Nice sweetheart. Are you okay? Is your boy doing okay, Kelly?
Yes, thank you for asking. Much better.
Oh, is he? Oh, very good. Is out of hospital now? Out of
Yes,
hospital?
out of the
Goodness for
hospital.
that.
Thank you.
Doing better. Good way. I'm thinking of him off.
No.
Nice to see you. Hi, Margaret. Hi, sweetie. Nice to see you, Mark. Nice to see you in a group, Margaret. Margaret and I often talk on our own, away from everyone, privately. We wear lingerie and speak together. Levi, Levy. Hi, Levy. Nice to see you there. Good. Thanks for joining in. Murray Struck. Hi, Murray. Hey, sweetie. Nice to see you. Nina. Hi, Nina. I love your background, Nina. Very nice. Gorgeous. Kathy F. Hi, Kathy. Nice to see you again. Hello. Gina. Hey, Gina. It's been a few months. Nice to see you. Looking good. And Nicole, I can see. And Becky. At the bottom, it's a big group, isn't it? My word, that's a good. So big groups are great groups because there's lots of diversity and God willing, lots of individuality, etc. One of my things in all sorts of development is for you, for goodness sakes, to remember who you are, all that you are, and try not to conform, please God. With so much where we're trying to standardize and churn out carbon copies of each other, and the whole thing's become so boring. Ugh, my God. So please, if you're a complete weirdo, become weirder. It's okay. As long as we are truly meeting the need of the clients and those who come seek us out, we put their needs before our own. Who cares if you put feathers in your hair? You may do exactly as you wish. Dance the fandango and take many lovers. We don't mind. So do as you wish. But ensure that you bring yourself to the party. So we are with just the one day, isn't it? This one, so just the one session. So thank you again for coming to that. And we're looking at all sorts of things, aren't we? Prophecies, psychic, and so forth. Seership. So where do I start? I don't want to turn this into a lecture. I need to talk a bit, get you to do a bit, and practice nicely. That's the thing. So hands up if you work with evidential mediumship. Raise your hand. Not everybody, which is interesting, but I think the vast majority. I think that's true to say. Those of you that have worked with evidential mediumship, how many of you have developed within sort of a spiritualist type background format, or your tutors have come from that background? Not everybody. Interesting. Good. Well, I would suggest to you all that you're at a great disadvantage, because I think in this way we've become rather too buttoned up, you see. It's almost like we've been brought up by nuns. And so, you know, you for this type of work, you have to be incredibly aware and mindful of the sensitivity and the need to hold and to coax and to nurture not only your client, but also yourself. For when we work in this field, we're often working with uncharted territory. So you almost have to ensure you, the reader, are as comfortable as your recipient, to ensure that the information you bring is produced and spoken unfettered and uncomplicated and free and meaningfully, and so on. So listen, today. I've done a few readings today. I think I've done a teaching session already, but one of my readings today was quite lovely, and it's akin to the kind of thing I'm suggesting to you to begin with. And that is keeping it really simple. When you kind of blend with someone else in any kind of a reading, maybe the exception of evidence, but the exception maybe to evidence, you simply say what tumbles into your awareness. Now, you can only imagine that's going to be kind of scary, isn't it? What suddenly if you say some weird stuff like, were you raised by wolves, your parents never loved you? We don't want to say stuff like that. We don't want to say weird stuff like, in a previous life, I feel you are responsible for the beheading of a virgin maid. We don't want to say stuff like that. We don't. We want to ensure that anything and everything we offer enables and does not disable the client. Big stuff. Anyway, so today I read for quite a gorgeous young lady, and I closed my eyes and cast my eyes to the side and simply said something about the need for her to go walk in nature. I mean, even I was bored. I mean, I was bored before I'd even started. What the hell is that about? Buy yourself good walking shoes, madam, and go walk in nature. She had a northern English accent, and from conversation, I was aware that she lived in the country. So that was all seemed very lovely, to go walk in nature. And then I started to speak about the need for her to go and study a dry stoned wall, which is really how we keep in our livestock in certain parts of this country, where you place parts of rock and to make a wall without cement and so forth. And it's quite a specialized art. Anyway, towards the end of the reading, she said, it was ever so strange when you said dry stone wall. She said, because yesterday I went on a course to learn how to dry stone wall. Now, that's not normal, is it? That's not normal. Most young ladies do not go making walls in rural areas. That's not your norm. And I only use it as a tiny example of sometimes you'll find yourself saying things that make absolutely no sense. Sometimes you'll look at your client who looks like, they're all together with it. And suddenly you say the craziest things like, have you been bobbing for apples, or whatever it might be, and it's not even Halloween, that kind of thing. So it's really having the confidence to say what you have been, to say what you're feeling, say what you're experiencing, to verbalize and to narrate the experience within yourself as you blend with your recipient. That's actually better than you think. Let me do that again. When we read for another, what you're essentially doing is becoming aware of your own soul power, aware of their own soul power, making this wonderful imagined energetic bond between the two of you. And then you simply cast your eyes to the side, take a deep breath in, imagine your mind is now as a blank canvas, and simply narrate your experience. You simply share the imagery, thoughts, feelings, tastes you're experiencing to begin with. Now, I think the very first part of any reading really is to grab your recipient gently and say, listen here, let me say these things, if I can, almost to create the mood and understanding, a feeling that says to you that I can do this, we are blended, we're connected on some level, trust me. And that sometimes just includes saying 5 potentially random, unassociated things. Or at least it will be for this session. Now, again, you might think, why? Well, if they're random and maybe they're not associated, you can always go back. This is something that took me years to work out. If you said something 20 minutes ago, it's still available. You can just go back 20 minutes later and inquire, what on earth was that about? So Why would you do this? One more time, because you're trying here to ensure not only does your client believe that you are in some way blending with them as to know them, but you're also, this is really important, you're trying to prove it to yourself, if nothing else. We bring all this information trying to get our recipient to believe that we are in and with them, with me, but we're also trying to prove it to ourselves, do you see? Now, I had something of a horror story the other day. I was late for a lady's online appointment. 20 minutes. 20 minutes late is bad, isn't it? Don't tell. Because I was reading for two very cute gay guys beforehand, and I think I got a mini crush and wanted to get an idea. I was simply engrossed. You see, I lost my way. That's what I did. And so a time I got to this poor woman, I was 20 minutes late. And she had a baby in her arms, and the baby was beautiful, and she was sort of holding the baby, and she looked really agitated and really upset with me, and she's possibly on this call. And I said a few things. It was absolutely rubbish. I couldn't get anything right. After about 2 minutes, I said, let's reschedule. I can do you tomorrow, which is not a great turn of phrase, but I can do you tomorrow, madam, I said. And she said, fine. You know. So time I got off the call, I recognized and saw that prior to my appointment, no doubt because I was late, she'd cancelled her payment, you see, but she never mentioned that to me. Didn't say, I was super upset with you, Tony, therefore I've cancelled your appointment. I'm so sorry, I shall repay you a moment we're finished. Nothing. And then sent me a barrage of abuse, which is quite lovely. I think I deserved it looking back. But all I'm trying to say is, your recipient's got to want to be read for. Your recipient cannot be rattled by you. Your recipient cannot be affronted before you've even started, you see. Your recipient cannot be nursing a newborn baby. They can't. As they can't be doing lots of things. I didn't know if any of you were at a group, it was a month or so back, when it was a student demonstration from memory, and gone to one lady, and she was laying in bed. Well, fine, maybe it was late. You will see there, Kelly, you can be nodding your head. And she's sort of laying like this, you see, and someone's given her a reading also, or maybe the teaching exercise, I can't really remember. But they were interacting with this lady. And all of a sudden, her husband peered from over her body without his shirt on and started joining in. Now, I don't mind a shirtless man at the best of times, but not in a demonstration. And it's horrible, wasn't it? My God, I lit a cigarette up afterwards. God knows what was going on. And so again, it's about being prepared and ready and available and in a space, in a state where we feel that we are as comfortable with our recipients as they are with us. Am I overdoing this? Do you understand kind of what I mean? And I think of years of maybe trying to read for people that really are essentially unreadable, unavailable, you see. When we work together in this short day, ensure as a recipient, you're doing what you need to do to make yourself available to the reader, do you see? Now, we're kind of working on the psychic. Now, listen, if grandmother pops in, I'm not saying let's be rude, not at all. But we're setting the intention to work with each other on a level that would suggest, I see you, soul sister. I see you, soul brother. And we're trying in this exercise to say maybe around 5 or 6 things that really encapsulate, is that a word? The recipient's world at this time. Now, what we don't want to do is fiddle about. You're married, not married, divorced, living in a throuple. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be doing that. I want you to make the statement and not be afraid if you hear a big fat boom. Not so much, dear. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Did anyone tell you that? It's okay to misinterpret. And it's okay to do it whilst we're practicing together. It's fine. Absolutely fine. So what on earth are we doing? Those more advanced among you thinking, come on, let's get going. But what we're going to do is go slowly to begin with. We're going to ask Nicole to pair us off. Just one-on-one, Nicole, in a moment, if that's okay. And it's an opportunity here really for you to take a little bit of time to see how you're blending with your recipient. What are you doing to blend with that person? Do you speak it out loud? I am a light being, so are you, let's have a party. Do you ask your recipient to close their eyes? Do you ask them to imagine to come be with you? Do you just throw information at them, you know, before they've even had a chance to breathe? Do you have an explanation of the kind of things you do and would like to achieve? Do you state your intention? I don't know. But be aware of what it is you're doing. It doesn't have to be clever. It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't. It can just be representative of the way you like to blend with self, you, and them. I would also suggest, slightly insist in a way that you don't have to take any notice, but that you try not to look at each other lots. Simply that. As one of my favorite things to say to any one of you would listen. It's much easier to see when you're not looking. Much easier. When you're constantly in eye contact with each other, it becomes some weird, creepy guess game. I don't like it at all. I'd much rather not look at someone. I was reading for a girl today and I forgot what she looked like. And I didn't want to actually look at her again because I was kind of enjoying not knowing who she was. I only looked at her momentarily, then I could not picture that girl's face. It was fab. And so it was so much more than if I'd seen her and been aware of her age and so on, you see. So what you're trying to do here is say things that effectively you feel are meaningful in their world. It could be representative of their passions, of their dreams, of something they've done today. It could be anything like that. And you can expand rather than just one word answers. I'm feeling, you know, you have a passion for golf. Wow. You know, I think you involve yourself on a Tuesday, Thursday. You can go on to interpret. But you're trying to say things about that person. Why? Because at this stage, on this level, we're trying to see whether, in fact, we are able not only to convince them, we're blending with them to see their story, but also convince ourselves. I quite like that. This very first and very simple exercise is really to see at this point whether we have enough within us that we can honor the information that comes close to us. We can honor it, but also if we are able to, this is quite sweet, honor their story. Simply that. We're trying to honor them by telling something of their story. I don't mind if we talk about past lives, as long as they understand and can concur their passions for a Bichon frisé. Yeah, I don't really mind if they're healing from a journey of trauma. Be careful what you say, as not to disable, but to enable. But those things are important. So if it's okay with Nicole, if we can put ourselves into twos, and I think really fast, Nicole, we're going to go 7 minutes each, 15 minutes each, have a chat, build up some rapport with each other, 15 minutes done between you.
Okay, so we'll be back here in 15 to 20 minutes.
Beautiful, 15 minutes.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Okay. People are all coming back now. So.
Okay. That's beautiful.
And
wonderful. It's marvelous. Okay, my darlings. Well done, everybody. Hope it all went well. Do I see a thumbs up for your okay this time round, do you think? Okay. Yeah, and it's breaking the ice. That's all we're doing. Breaking the ice. And getting ourselves in the mood for a brief interlude. So, very good. And here we come tumbling forth. Good. Did anyone pair up with a hottie? Anyone? Yes, good. We're all hotties, inside or out, one or the other. possibly in these days.
Everyone will be back in about 30 seconds.
No worries. It's all good. Fair dinkum.
Sure. Dun, 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 dun.
Good. Just while we're waiting, hands up the Canadians. Where are you?
Canadian.
Just a couple. Oh, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. The people from the States and the Americans. Very good. Oh, good. The majority by far. Good. Other Europeans, where are you? Good. Is anyone in the UK? In the UK, a few of you. No? Very good. Very good. And a few of the Europeans. Ralph, Ralph, where are you from? What country?
Germany.
Oh, Germany. Very good.
Hard time unmuting myself. Yeah, German.
Germany. Very good. And whereabouts in Germany, Ralph?
Oh,
Don't worry, it's the other way around. Doesn't matter. I'm just holding time. And I know Selka, you're also from Germany, and Lisa, you're from Germany too. So yes, more
Yes.
people.
I'm
Very good. Lovely. So well done, everybody. So let's move on quickly, if that's okay. So we placed ourselves in a position, and as a reader, remember this: you made yourself vulnerable, not in a bad way, but anytime we read for another, especially to begin with, it's a hurdle. You know, you don't know really what you're going to get, who it's going to be, if you're going to be able to serve. We put ourselves out there as somebody who can, and maybe we can't. So don't underestimate the stress that we put ourselves through each time we start. But of course, with time and effort, you build a degree of almost a degree of confidence, almost, that it's always going to be okay. Moments you're going to be off the scale, marvelous. There's no question of that. And other times you should slink under your sofa when you're finished and lick your wounds. But, you know, it'll always hopefully be okay. That's the thing to consider. So now let's move forward if we can. And when we, if you'll permit, we'll talk of the psychic to begin with. Now, some of you have been with me for such a long time now, so you'll know what's coming. But forgive me for a moment, but I spent a long time getting psychic very wrong. Very wrong. Oh, my psychic was appalling. For the longest time, my mediumship was exquisite, I have to say. My psychic was just, because I just thought psychic was, you know, love affairs and marriages and working out how many children people had. And because that was almost like a bit of a stab in the dark. And really, when you're trying to blend with someone and work out whether she has 2, 3, or 4 children, it's very difficult when they throw the stepkids in there, or that one child she's not terribly keen on. You know, trying to work out the emotional sense of an array of children, or one or the none, in fact, very difficult. So I kind of gave up on psychic for the longest time. And then some years ago, it dawned on me really what the psychic is. Psychic essentially is what your soul knows. So when we blend with each other, and you and I are able to say, you're having a bad day, dear. Do you have sciatica? Do you find yourself in a crossroads in life? Are you thinking of moving? Are you possibly donating your kidney to your best friend, Sonia? You know, whatever that information looks like, how on earth do we know it? And I often play and say, we don't have an exceptionally big brain compared to normal people. I'm sure if we dissected one of us, it would look completely standard. So what is it that effectively allows us as a community to at times know quite marvelous, bizarre, breathtaking detail? And that is because on a level, you, soul self, have reached out to the soul self of your recipient. And as you reach out and blend together, you are, I suppose, in a communion of the heart, like your souls are blending together. Now listen. And then on a soul level, you blend with and understand, know and recognize. And then a small portion of what you're experiencing in the heart bubbles up into our awareness. Only a small portion manages to find its way from the heart to the head. Now, I know that to be true because of the occasions where I've read for the same person 20 times over the years. And it may well be on the 18th occasion I say something quite profound and I go, what? You're a barrister? I never knew that. And you think, how did I not know that day one? It just wasn't available to me. She was always a barrister. But, you know, it didn't bubble up on the first number of occasions. Whatever it was on that day that allowed that information to be known and seen and felt to be true, I had maybe just grown in sensitivity. My awareness had expanded. Maybe she had relaxed more. Maybe the first sessions were all about her rather dismal childhood, something like that. So once maybe the need to present clarification of the past had been satisfied, there's room for more information to bubble up, because I'm the big fan of to tell you that as a reader, we're there to meet the greatest need of our client. And it may well be you've satisfied the needs A, B, C, and D over a period of time, which then creates the space for other things, issues, dreams, to bubble up into your awareness. Let me do it one time, but really quickly. All psychic is the innate knowing of your own soul's being. Is ultimately what you know on a soul level as you blend with your client. Now, some of you, maybe quite a lot of you, have been with me because you know one of my things is psychic detection. I've done it for many years and still engaged in that. In fact, I spoke to the New York Police Department today for saying something I shouldn't have known. It wasn't me, I didn't do it. But you know, it's all terribly interesting. But when we maybe know things psychically with regards to detection, of course, we may not necessarily be blending with a client as such, but blending with a photograph or a map reference, or setting the intention that we might know who truly was Jack the Ripper. We're blending with something else. I want to say tentacles, that's a completely wrong word, isn't it? But the sensitivity of self reaches out to the person, to the room, to the crime scene, to and if it's nothing to do with detection, to prophesize, to understand, to recognize, but it's all coming from your soul self. I've confused some of you, I know. Stay with me. Let's go back to mediumship. I've got your mother. There's only hope she's passed over for some. I've got your mother. How do we know we've got someone's mother with us? It's because we're encountering the spirit of mother on a soul level. So your expansive soul self sometimes reaches out to a client or maybe a group, but often the individuals within a group. And as we touch them on a soul level, within that embrace, that energetic embrace, dwells everything. Everything's in there. The loss of the mother, the ability to commune with mother on a soul level. The loss of the dog and of grandfather, or to consider a mystery of the past. It's all maybe a mystery is not all contained on a soul level. Maybe it's contained within the human, but we still access that information by being as sensitive and as open on a soul level as we possibly can, waiting for some of that information to bubble up into our conscious awareness. Have you ever said, when you've been practicing or maybe working with a client, oh, I know I'm meant to be saying something, I don't know what it is. You're waiting for something to come. It's kind of weirdly frustrating. And if you've ever experienced that, it's frustrating because you know you've got it here. It's just not here yet. So you're waiting for it to find a way to present from the heart to the head. It's almost like when you're trying to think of that actress. You know that actress. She was in that movie. What was her name? And then someone tells you and you go, ah, it just didn't make that connection. You see, when you're desperately trying to remember a name, it feels something like that. So please stay with me. So then it would stand to rights in all of our spiritual work, whatever that looks like, whatever we're doing. The more in tune, attuned, calibrated you are between soul and human self, between the mental, emotional, physical, and soul body, the more attuned you are, at peace you are, in alignment you are, then of course the easier it has to be to truly recognize consciously what you're receiving on a soul level. Doesn't he go on? Doesn't he go on? But I really think it works that way. I really think it works that way. For years of waiting for spirit to tell me things in my physical ears or show me things in my physical eyes, only to be often very disappointed. And even on the cases it did work, no doubt I received it on a soul level anyway and assumed it was my soul, my human body that knew it. And it stands to rights, you see, that the amount of times that your clients will come to see you, especially after the loss of a loved one, or they'll say, you know, my Jimmy's been gone 6 weeks. I've been telling him to pick my hand up or rustle my hair or caress my face, and I've not felt a thing. So normal people expect spirit to engage with their human physical bodies. I'm not saying it doesn't happen that way. I'm sure it can on some level at some point. Maybe you have your own experience of that. But it's so much easier to ask little Jimmy to caress her etheric body, or to enter her dreams, or to give her an overwhelming feeling, or to create such synchronicity that she puts the radio on and his song is playing. It's much easier for spirit to interact with us on a far more creative, imaginative, dreamlike space than to pick something up. I used to work with a lady, and I don't say it was a plastic water bottle, but she used to say things like to her friends in the spirit world, go on then, if it's real, move it. And she was waiting for things to physically move. Now, I'm not saying spirit couldn't do it, wouldn't do it, I've never done it, I don't know. But I would suggest to ask soul beings to become physical has got to be somewhat problematic. I sometimes wonder if the spirit people that gather close to us go, look, love, we can't do that. Why don't you join us for half an hour? Come on, be dead for a bit. Come on, dear, get dead, we'll have a chat. You know, just for a little while. And so the language of the soul is in the heart. That's exactly what it is. So I know I'm chatty, but I'm going to say this to you and then we can move forward. It doesn't really matter how you're working, whether it's in pure psychic, working with your seership, which we'll come back to, and or your mediumship, prediction, prophecy, etc. Fundamentally, the more heart-centered you are as a worker, which is forgiving yourself, being aware of self, being aware of your power, how to extend that power, the more heart-centered you are, the easier it is for you to feel, receive, perceive, recognize, and know, whether it be through trance or channeling too. The more heart-centered you are, the easier the work flows. Now, you've got the rest of your lives until you're dead to get to that right. If you could work it out before you pop off, that would be marvelous, you see. The idea is that each day we stand, we have to set the intention that we'll become more soul-centered and soul-aware, heart-centered and soul-aware. That's it. Heart-centered and soul-aware. How, Tony Stockwell? I should tell you. By contemplation, by meditation, by open-eyed meditations, by maybe some chants and some breath work, etc. But it's really any way you can agitate your human that it gives way to a spiritual experience that bubbles up from within you. Should I leave that with you? Then limp away, and hopefully that made some sense to someone. So, darlings, let us move again into the concept of seership. Now, the term is, I want to do medium, seership, I still want to talk about mediumship. Seership. If you go back maybe 200 years, I don't know if the term medium was truly really ever known or embraced. No doubt you'll find it somewhere. But modern day spiritualists talked of mediumship as in to bring survival evidence around sort of, prior to 1848, 31st of March, Hydesville Day, the day that's often celebrated as the sort of birth of modern day spiritualism. So what we work with now, the things that we see and the things that we do and the things that we say, is really a lot of it, not all, a lot of it is the remnants of a standard that was recognized to be acceptable all those years ago. I've got a woman, I've got a man, he's big, he's tall, he's dark, he's fair, that kind of a thing, you see. And wonderful work it is. I spent 35 years doing exactly that. But this particular course, we're looking at something slightly different. And we're looking here at seership. So seership essentially is everything that our forefathers, our soul friends would have done. And so you could really have a wonderful big bucket that says seership, and you can throw your mediumship into that, your psychic work, your tarot, your pyromancy, your ummancy, your trance healing, everything wonderfully can sit under this huge umbrella of the seer, of seership. S-E-E-R, the seer. Now, people in ages past, often in ancient community, would have a seer within their midst, and they would go to see the wise one in community. And often, as I often say this, but has anyone seen that brilliant HBO TV show, The Vikings or something like that? I think it's called. When the seer got those black eyes and he licks their palm. I mean, it's just fabulous. I love that. But anyway, this kind of wonderful, weird someone that lives outside of community. And the idea people would come to see the seer and say things such as, "Oh, seer, will I conceive a child? Shall we go to war? Will my family be safe? When is the time to harvest our crops?" Because our people that went before us, of course, their prime concern would not be, will I be a TikTok star? Will I get my own YouTube channel? Can I get a TV show? Will I be voted the best psychic this weekend? And all of that kind of stuff, that they would rather have been about marriage and children and community and war and pestilence and survival. I mean, absolutely survival, among other things, no doubt. Who will be king? Who should be queen? This kind of thing. So our job back then was to be quite simply to know things, to feel into the trends and that which is potentially written, I suppose. Now, this is such an interesting subject, even I get excited, when we ask ourselves really, if things of tomorrow, what is meant to be, what is written, what must be, what is non-negotiable, and what is negotiable. So some things in your life, you could come to see the seer and say, I'm looking to buy a new jacket. Should I get a pink or a green one, dear? And really the outcome doesn't really matter. So maybe we get a sense of the color you're drawn to on a soul level as to brighten your day. Then somebody could say, I'm torn between two lovers, feeling like a fool. And maybe she's dating John, but she's also dating Jane. And she doesn't know which one, in fact, to spend her life with, because both are hotties. You know, both she adores. And so where do we go? So when people are in these terrible conundrums, they may come to see us not because they want our point of view. I suppose on some level, they're almost imagining what is written. Who should they spend their life with if they're unable to feel it for self? They're so immersed within the wrangles and the tangles of life, and maybe the constraints and pressures of modern day, or maybe not so modern these days, thank God, but, you know, previous social stigmas and acceptance. And so they might come to see someone like us, that we might look into their future and read what we see must or will come to pass, like it's written. Do you see? Am I losing you at the moment? Am I okay with you? It's like it's written. Now, I ask you just to consider your own lives. And I think, you know, partners, partnerships, love affairs are a perfect example, but because they're of the heart, you know, it rips the heart out, you know, when that doesn't go quite right. Well, you might have wanted to go see someone like us. Do I stay? Do I go? That kind of thing, you see. Will it work? Will it not work? I'm 54 years of age. If I go now, there's a life. If I hang on for 10 more years, there's nothing left. Yeah, this is commonplace, you know, commonplace stuff, you see. So when people come to see you, they're not necessarily asking for your advice in the immediacy of the situation. They're trying on some level to see what should be, what might be, what is right in their destiny. What does fate hold for them? So we have a huge responsibility to look around corners. But what I'm asking you to consider here is what is meant to be and what is not meant to be, what is written and what is not written. Now, part of the spiritualist, I don't even say philosophy, but part of it's teaching. Bearing in mind, this is my teaching. You know, I was heavily involved in modern day spiritualism at the age of 16. I'm now 53 and a half. Oh, I'm actually nearly 54 next week. Please send me a card. 54. I look so much younger, you can't believe it. But anyway, and in that time, you know, much of my expansive mind has been enhanced and stunted all at the same time. But I was always told that as human beings, we are blessed with free will. Have you heard that before? Free will. You've got free will. You've got free will. Let me think, my God, I've only gone and got free will. I don't know if I like it. So really, it's all down to us. You know, you choose, all will be well. I kind of like the concept of free will, but possibly I find it quite challenging. Because I also like to imagine that certain things in my life are meant to be. Do you see? This is a tiny example. I will stop talking at some point. But, since I was very young, at the age of 19, I used to work for an accounts office, believe it or not, in a shipping company. And I would look at the clock, and no matter what day it was, I would 9 times out of 10, I would look at the clock, but it was just turning like an electric clock from 11:27. So it'll go 11:26, 11:27. And the amount of times in my life that 11:27, you've got your own numbers. I bet you have. But numbers you'll see, things you're drawn to, letters of the alphabet, whatever it might be. These wonderful synchronicities that really doesn't make sense. I've made sense of 11:27 now because it was such a thing for so many years. And it's quite simply, I know now, my daughter was born on the 11th of October and my son on the 27th of November. 11:27, in that order. And since I made the connection between 11:27, I've not seen it since. Isn't that strange? And I see now 1111 with all the ones and all the twos and all the rest of things. But 11:27, so I just thought that was almost way back then, way before they were born. Almost a message to my own human. Watch for 11:27. You see what I'm trying to say? So some things are maybe meant to be. It's a lovely thing, isn't it, to imagine that your children, your grandchildren, your husbands or your wives, when it's beautiful, that was meant to be. It's a wonderful thing to consider. Your mum, who was gorgeous, you were meant to be her daughter. You were meant to be her son. It was meant to be. It couldn't be any other way. And when your grandmother left you that massive yacht and catamaran in the south, that was meant to be given to me, but you don't know that yet. I just threw that in to keep you entertained. You say some things are meant to be. So this is what I'm going to say too that I think is now true. Ready? I think we have free will. I'm not convinced it's of the human. I think the free will you have is on a soul level. I think the clients that come and see you, they have free will dictated by their soul, their higher self, their light body, if you like, because it needs to create certain experiences in this life that it might grow. So let's imagine us being read for. We might come to a reader and they say, guess what? You've got free will, and you think, fabulous. I'm marrying Daniel. I'm living in LA because I really fancy meeting the Kardashians. And that's your free will. You're convinced that's the way forward. And guess what? Your higher self says, forget it, dear. No way. We're going to Bahrain. We're opening up a women's refuge. That's what we're doing, dear, because that's almost on my soul level, the work that I've been born to create. So now you have conflict, you see, in your client, because the client wants to meet the Kardashians, but their soul self says, no way, we're going to Bahrain. And the human says, forget it, I'm not going to bloody Bahrain. You must be kidding me. I want to see, you can see the conflict. And now people come to see us. Hello, Seer. My name's Brenda. Help me. And then you may well connect with them and think of the Kardashians. But if you do it properly, you'll actually start to bring forth information they need to hear on a soul level. Now, this I find exciting. I wonder if there's two types of seers / psychics / readers. Those who pander to the human and those who honor their soul. Is that too much? Brilliant, isn't it? My God. It allows me to be judgmental of my peers in a lovely way. Well done, me. And get the upper hand beautifully. But no, and I think we're all guilty at times of pandering to the human in front of us. Do you see it? I won't give you the big story of the lady who was sobbing at the College of Psychic Studies, who I read for. And when I predicted a new lover, she said, no, I don't want that one. I want a Spanish one. And I just agreed with her in the end. It was just too easy. My God, she was so scary. I thought, if I don't give this woman a Spanish lover immediately, she's going to combust. Oh, my God, the things you do in your youth. But what we're going to try to do here in way of developing a better understanding of the seer within. The seer within ultimately is the magical part of your soul that knows things. In a moment, I'm going to ask Nicole to place us just in one-on-ones again, Nicole, in readiness, if you don't mind. And this time around, I'm going to ask you both to be lovely to each other, but I'm going to ask you both to close your eyes and not peek. Close your eyes when you're being read for. Close your eyes as you're reading. 5 minutes each, 10 minutes max. That's all we're doing. Maybe set a little vibrating on your phone or a little tinkle tinkle every 5 minutes so you know what to do if you're working with your eyes closed. And when we close our eyes, take a moment to blend with each other. I'll go first, you go second. Of course, you'll have to work that out yourselves. And we're trying here to imagine that we are in unison on a soul level. And you're trying to state things here that you believe that your recipient, your client, on a soul level has dictated to do, to achieve in this lifetime now. So keep it positive, but you're just looking at the moment about what you feel your client is hoping to achieve, yearning to express. Was a better word for it's gone out of my brain. Imploring their own human to remember why they have truly incarnated here in the world. That's what I want you to do. I want to see if you can touch the overwhelming, and it may only be aspects, it's absolutely fine, or part of a story, don't worry. But you're trying here to tap into the overwhelming desire of the soul of what it needs to achieve. Now, it's easier to say you're going to be a healer, you're going to be a medium. I get that entirely. But if that does come, be a medium where? Be a medium why? What is a speciality? What is the uniqueness of that gift? I started off by sort of giving like a little bit of a weird thing, but you know, if we're all going to be mediums and healers and seers and saints, etc., where is the individuality? What is the extra facet here that sets us out from the others that we may inspire? Is it to heal dogs, to speak to horses, to heal the sick, to become a spiritual doula, to teach? Why teach? Where teach? How teach? Which country? Which group? Which way of expression? Which art form? So there's plenty of depth here. Now, I know some of you are now thinking, how the hell can I possibly know that stuff? By closing your eyes and blending and trusting and honoring the feeling that comes forward. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's surrendering to the feeling that bubbles up without questioning too much. And the only thing I'm going to say before I set you free, everything you should offer, you should truly believe is going to enable them and not disable them. Just keep that. Get a t-shirt made, for goodness sakes, because then you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. If you bring it because you truly believe it's going to enhance that person's world, as opposed to make it smaller, then we can trust you to work with each other. Ish? Okay. So one-on-ones, please, Nicole. 10 minutes max, 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Really? Okay. We've got one group of 3. So 15 in total then? Can we do that?
Yeah, we'll have to. 15 minutes. Okay. It leaves a little bit of room for some movement. Okay, 15 minutes. 7 minutes for the bit of feedback.
Bum, bum, bum. Great. There we go.
Very good.
Everybody back in 60 seconds. We're about half back now.
Oh, no, sorry, the cat's attacking the dog. Yeah. The roles are reversed. Every time this night, I think he gets overtired and starts getting mean. Stay with him, Bertie. Little thing. Good.
Yep. The rest of them are just coming back in now, Tony. About 30 more seconds. Wait.
Beautiful. Very good. No rush. Good, good, good. But of course, just to ask you all, how did you get on? I mean, who knows? But just give me a wave if you feel that kind of made sense, you know, as you were reading on that level and you felt you were able to touch something. And I would suggest for the majority of you to keep your eyes closed if you could bear it. Will enhance the knowingness. So just 1 second, sorry. Let go, naughty. You're a bad boy. So, 1 second. I'm just going to put this cat out because it's getting absolutely terrible. No, you're showing yourself up. Naughty. Naughty. Oh, so sorry about that, everybody. He's turned into a tiger. Either way, so I was going to say this way of accessing inner knowing, a powerful state of knowing, in other customs, in other tribes, in other civilizations, no doubt we would do things to drum ourselves into this position, that we may sit in the temple in meditation, we may breathe in incense for months at a time, this sort of thing. We would essentially, through different cultures, remove ourselves from the normal everyday village life, that we might live very differently from normal people. In the belief that this would place us best as interpreters of the gods, or that we might see people's destiny and fate, etc., more clearly. And I think as we move forward into sort of modern day and increasingly modern day living, I don't know if we necessarily have to remove ourselves to go live in the cave, or to drum ourselves into a state of euphoria that we might know better things. I think there is a way that we could literally learn to live as the knowing seers that we are, with a foot in both dimensions. But it does require us to do the work on ourselves in preparation. We don't necessarily need to live in the cave, but maybe we need a long soak in the bathtub. Maybe we need to walk in nature. Maybe we need to meditate a couple of times in that week. Look at some yoga, look at some chanting, look at some breath work. Looking to do the work on ourselves so we can still maintain and sustain a normal earth life. But we have to treat ourselves differently from the others around us. Remember, the growing sensitivity within you needs to be nurtured. It's okay not to be like normal people sometimes. So consider that and find whatever it is that works for you. There is no remedy, there is no standard for this sort of thing. But ultimately recognize your growing sensitivity. So encourage that in any way you possibly can, in a way that works for you. Simply. Everyone breathe in. Repeat after me. Let's have a wee wee. Off you go, 10 minutes. You have a 10-minute break, and use the bathroom and get a cup of tea and return. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, isn't it? There we go. Very good, my dears. We're reading the news about Turkey and Syria and the earthquake. It's terrible, isn't it? Really very shocking. So lots of prayers needed in that direction. Come on. Come and show yourself. Come. This is the beast. It's being kind,
So he's come back in?
Yes.
And mine's gone back out.
Yes. We don't punish the animals for very long. It was out for about 2 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, it's back in now, in the warm. So good. We'll congregate now. Everyone's back in the space, and we can move forward. Now, the work on this level as to know things, I think is of course very, come on words. We can work in this way to know things, to uncover certainly things of the past, no question. We can work with this level of knowingness in the now. And the thing that I think is potentially for our clients at least, and maybe for ourselves, is most alluring is any kind of help we can offer. And that is to share, is to negotiate safe passage for them as they look for their tomorrows. Somebody once asked me, it was a couple of years ago, do I much prefer sunrises or sunsets? And for me, it's always a sunset. And they did psychoanalyze me somehow, you know, to say that maybe I was afraid of tomorrow or something like that. I have no idea really. But the idea was, when we look to our tomorrows, it can be scary, disconcerting, maybe. It can be filled with trepidation, dependent on how strong we feel we are, how able we feel we are, and so on and so forth. So again, the people that might come to see you in the future, I suppose there's always a need to reassure. Is that my internet that's going funny or yours, do you think?
It's you, I think it's yours,
Is it mine? A little bit out.
for sure, but it's your voice that's doing that.
Okay. Are you hearing me as a group?
We're hearing
Yeah.
you.
Maybe the visual's a little bit off or something like that. Okay. Let me keep. And so we're just really looking at here those who might come to seek us out for our knowingness. Is ultimately that they might be reassured, assured, and given guidance that they might effectively create safe passage for themselves as they negotiate the human world. Bearing in mind those people that might come and seek us out may also be other sensitives as well, sensitive enough to believe the work that we do or the work that we're engaged in. And all of that. So let me hold that thought just for a moment if I can. Just for a moment. And let's look at this. You hear me okay? Yes.
You're breaking up a bit, Tony.
Can feel it. Okay. Bear with me, everyone.
You put your camera off for a minute and just speak.
Yeah. Let me see where I'm.
Uh-oh. I do believe we've lost him. Oh, okay. He's popped out. His internet's, he'll come back any minute. I don't know.
It could be the weather in this side of Britain.
That's
Yeah,
it.
good.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're back.
I've tethered to my phone, so that should be okay. Thank God for that. So yeah, just waffling on really for a little while, but let's work on this level if we can, and that is, let's do this. So in a moment, I think we're going to ask Nicole to pop us all into groups of 3 this time round, and I think we'll have one witness, one recipient, and one reader, if you like. So the important role of the witness is to hold space, but also just to sit back and observe. You learn so much from observation. So as a reader, when it's your turn to read, take one of your group, and they're going to tell you 2 things. One, they're going to tell you of their heart's desire, something in life they just want to happen beyond anything else. And you have to think if there's anything you want to happen more than anything else. Maybe a hope for your retirement, a hope for your family, hope for your daughter, hope for your grandchildren, hope for your children, a hope, your heart's desire. Maybe find a new partner, maybe lose a partner, we don't know. Whatever it is your heart's desire. And then I also want you to express a deep fear at the same time. It can be unassociated, it can be completely random. So your deep fear might be, God forbid, to pass prematurely and leave your kids young. Your aspiration, your hope, your dream could one day to feel secure in a family unit where all is well and people are healthy. I mean, we'd all like the same, wouldn't we? It may be more exact, it may be more specific than that, depending on your life. Then as the psychic / seer, I want you to sit back. And the role here is not to allow your head to rule, because I found this most tricky over the years, where I so want to make it right for people, I've overthought it. And sometimes I've heard myself say, oh my God, that happened to my friend Jean. Now she went straight to citizens' advice, and you end up having this human's conversation, you see, trying to make it better. It's not what they've come for. You really have to take the dream and the fear, and I don't even say you have to tackle them head on, but they're certainly very useful in training exercise as to stimulate, as to invoke, as to allow the deepest part of self to rise to meet the challenge. And then I'd ask you to cast your eyes to the side as you read and present everything that hits the heart. And some of that information may well go towards soothing the worry. It may also go towards finding building blocks or stepping stones in which your client might reach their heart's desire, but you'll find it tricky. You'll find it tricky, as I've already suggested, because your head wants to make it right, and you have to avoid that. You have to only to respond to the truth of what the heart needs. Now, a story that I've told you all 20 times each, if you've listened ever, but I'll tell it really quickly. When I was very young and gorgeous, I used to go to this guy's house with his mum, and I used to read for him on a Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning, in fact, no particularly matters. And he was very handsome, this boy. He was my age. I was all in our early 20s. His dad was a complete arsehole, and his dad had died, and they were both glad. She was glad he was dead. The son was glad he was dead. It was that bad. So it left this mother and son, he was in his early 20s, quite traumatized by this brutish man that had died. So when I went round to the house to do the one-to-one, I was bringing this man through. They could care less. They were glad he was dead. Anyway, the reading quickly turned to the young man feeling desperately heartbroken, nothing to do with the dad. And the story was, this guy was gay. They'd never been kissed. He met a guy on a brief weekend holiday thing that he gave himself. You know, he kind of made love with this guy, and they'd had a weekend together. And the guy kind of dumped him. That was the story. And so the story was, will he come back? Will he come back for me? Will we run off together? Will we be a unit? But bearing in mind, you're looking at quite a traumatized young man whose dad was a massive idiot, who possibly had never known love of a man. Sexual, non-sexual. The father was a jerk, you see. So it was a big deal. First love affair. So that's the background story. So I went in there, and he said, will he come back? Showed me a picture of the guy. And I said, sure, he'll come back. You're lovely. Of course, he's going to want to be with you because you're a really nice guy. He never came back. I read for that guy every Sunday morning for some time. It was getting embarrassing in the end. I'd say things like, by next week, maybe next week. And I recognize now all I was doing is I was responding to what I wanted to happen for him. Do you see? I wanted him to be loved. I wanted him to be healed. I wanted him to run off in the distance with a guy who looked quite big and big enough to pick you up. Just my type. And all of that sort of thing. You know, I wanted that to be the case. But of course, it never was meant to be. Never was. And so I left that guy, I think, more heartbroken. Heartbroken then that the spirits lied. Heartbroken that I was wrong, heartbroken that he was misled. He was no better off, he was worse off. Now, I think nowadays, all these years later, if I was in exactly the same circumstance, I might have read very differently and recognize I mustn't let my head rule. Just because I want this man to come back for him doesn't mean it'll be true. So then we're trying to read on a level of, is it meant to be? It was a love affair, maybe not meant to be at all. Will it be? Well, who knows, because you're reading for a client who wants it to be, but it's very much dependent upon another individual who's not in the room. Now, this level of work, this comes up all the time where you'll read for a client who wants to know what their husband's doing, what their wife's doing. Will she come back? Will he come back? Will he give me the inheritance? Will he not give me the inheritance? And you're then almost asked to read for that client on a level that's not really now so much about what they are doing, but the actions and reactions of others. And then it gets very complicated. You said he would. I don't know. Do you know? And that's the part of maybe the psychic that I find most challenging, is other people's behavior. If it was just really working with a client and they really, really, really wanted to study and they want to study, and you said, I feel you're going to study, and they do study because they've only got themselves to consider. But when you're trying to predict and know things for their tomorrows based on the whims of others, it's very different territory. But sometimes it's very possible to do so. Sometimes when you link, this is quite interesting, I don't know if this is true, so let me say what I think is coming up. Sometimes when you link sincerely on a heart level to your client and you embrace them on a soul level, it's possible to connect with the other soul beings in this theater of life that play a part in that person's life, and ask them without words, what is your intention? What is the story here? Isn't that fabulous? You know, I do think I'm great, but I don't know. I never thought of that before. I'm just kidding, but I never thought of that before. It's possible, almost like a web of soul knowing, to reach beyond the human to see what the intent is of the other soul incarnates and what it is they have in store. Anyway, I digress. So listen, let me throw you in, kicking and screaming, desperately ill-equipped for this exercise. And groups of 3, you all get to observe, you all get to read, and you all get to be read. When you're read, you will ask one of the seers/psychics in the space. You'll present a fear and a dream. These things don't necessarily have to be answered, but they act as the most amazing catalysts for information to bubble forth. The trick is not to allow the head to rule, but the heart to rise. Do you see? The soul's knowing. So if you're dead confused, they think, I don't know how to do that, I don't know how to do it, just stop thinking. That's what you got to do. You've got to energetically blend with that person. And this is it, always narrate, express, and share what it is you're feeling, you see as you read. What is the sensation? What is the overwhelming sense of that? Can your brain put that into picture form that you might interpret it better? But you're sharing with them great positivity, and sometimes the positivity seems negative, but it's not. I don't suggest you should say someone should die, but you know, I might read for you, and as you progress, I'm not making you less than me, I promise you I'm not, but when you feel proficient in the work, sometimes you do hear yourself say, well, of course your mother won't be here for always. Thinking, why am I saying that? Almost wanting to take the words back and scrub their mind that you ever said it, only then to hear that mum's so desperately sick, so desperately ill. She prays for the end of it all because she's 87 and in desperate pain. I mean, sometimes death is not a negative, it's a release. But we'll come back to that. That's masterclass. Let's not do that just yet. In case mum's 36, belongs in a boob tube. We don't want to do any of this stuff just now. So let's just throw ourselves in, see how we get on. They present a dream and a fear. You then blend with them. And what I suppose the goal here is to spiritually try to help placate their fear in a way that is meaningful, that you're giving them the tools in which to rise and be stronger. And if there's any other way to help them to negotiate that they might find their heart's desire, if you feel the heart's desire is true and will indeed happen. But guess what? Maybe something even more magnificent will appear. Something even better than. They're hoping for a home of their own. What you truly see come is a mansion in an estate. Marrying George Clooney. I don't know. Is he divorced yet? I don't know. You know, who knows where it might go? Ish. But it all has to be heartfelt. The worst is here is to feel under pressure to present something you don't believe is true, and then it just becomes a lie. It's got to be felt. Oh, I don't want to let you go. Hold on. One thing I will say this quickly now. If I get stuck and don't know what to say, don't tell anyone I do this. I rock a lot, you know that, those that have seen me work. I rock a lot anyway. But if I really got stuck, I possibly would rock a lot more. I might rub my hands. I might tap my face. I might scrunch my face like I'm trying to agitate the feeling out of me. But don't tell anyone I do it. There's sometimes when you get stuck, you almost have to agitate your human, that you might release the heart's numbing. Prizes for the most bizarre actions, please. Anyway, so how long do we know? We're 10 minutes each, 3 of you in a group, all changing role, half an hour. I shall march through the groups and see as many of you work as I possibly can, and if need be, bring some assistance for those who get stuck. All good? Oh.
One group of 4, so maybe we'll give it 5 minutes in total, and they can. Is that okay?
Yeah, so no more than half an hour in total, 10 minutes each, but the group of 4 where you're required to work a little hastier, 7 minutes each.
Perfect. And accept your rooms.
So well done.
Sorry, Tony.
No, all good, all good. Good, interesting. I was just asking the last group there, did they feel that being presented with people's fears and dreams, was it helpful? But it certainly was something to get our teeth into. It certainly stimulated a reaction within us. But you'll disagree with me anyway, because you won't want to upset me. But do you see that potentially you were able to read on a level that felt deeper than sometimes the more surface information that we go for? Maybe not, I'm not sure. Let me ask a better question. Let me ask, as a recipient, when you were read for, who feels nurtured by the experience? That someone was willing to see you and go to a place with you to placate your feeling and your worries and support you in your dreams. It's a different way of working, isn't it? It's a different way of working entirely. But very well done, everybody. Very well done. Let me ask, Christy Ann, where are you from, Christy Ann? You look very interesting. Where did we place you?
I'm from Canada, but I currently live in the Dominican Republic in Punta Cana.
Yeah, now we're just jealous. Yeah, yeah, well done. Good. Is it nice and warm?
Yeah, I needed the warm weather. I've been here for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow. God, it's not just a break. Beautiful. Well, it looks gorgeous. Yes, feels gorgeous.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. The reason I had to ask you. Now we're all okay. Well done. So before we progress, I think we need another little comfort break there, if that's okay. So should we just take a final 10 minutes, just another 10-minute break, and that'll do us today. So go and make a cup of tea and return.
There we go.
Very good. Thank you, my darlings. Thank you, my dears. Any questions so far about anything in the whole world, including Prince Harry? Anything you want to know from me?
Becky, question.
Oh, please, fire away, fire away.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Okay, oh, I'm sorry. That was my timer telling me it was time for the end of the break. One of the things that I'm not sure about in terms of all of this is, you know, in the normal teachings, which one of the things I appreciate most about you, Tony, is your willingness to look outside the box and operate outside the spiritualist box, which I have also felt quite confining. But I'm also aware that we get a lot of admonitions about not making predictions or things like that. And because somebody was saying about somebody who got sued for a whole bunch of money when something that they had said they said was going to happen, did not happen, or something like that. And so I'm just wondering, what are the legal and ethical obligations of this kind of work?
Great, thank you very much. Well, firstly, I have to say to you, God only knows. My God, I mean, I'm learning as much as anyone and everybody else as this goes. I think, let me say something negative and then build it up for first of all. You're absolutely right. The idea that, you know, we are told don't ever predict, etc. It's not within our remit and so forth. I think that we were never born just mediums. To ask us only ever to concentrate on one tiny facet of the work, I think is incredibly frustrating. I've gone through years of massive amounts of frustration because I know there's so much more to the craft, which effectively doesn't get developed at the same rate or to the same standard as our evidence. And therefore we almost are restricted in ways that are just simply frustrating. So I like now, because I've got bigger and older, and I like now to work in a very eclectic way, from life guidance to, of course, trance is what a lot of what I do now. Trance, psychic detection, demonstrating mediumship. I like to keep it very varied. But I know from working with normal people, clients, for 35 years, that people come and they need stuff for tomorrow. Life can be arduous. Life can be very difficult. Life can be unnegotiable. Life can be desperately hard to navigate for themselves. And so then people come to us, and I think if we're not very careful, what's the point of us on that level? You know, if we're unwilling to say something that's helpful. And, you know, at this point, I always mention to you about a good friend of mine who reads for me. And she reads the tarot and will lay out ahead of me what's coming up. She never tells me what to do. And that's maybe a slight difference. I think if we see our prediction, which is not something we've looked at technically yet, as something we absolutely feel so deeply in the heart that we know is approaching at a fast rate, we know will present itself. I suppose all we can do, we want to be a little cautious, is to insist that our recipient has the ability here to accept or deny, to embrace or not, to take that route if they want to, or decide entirely to go elsewhere. So I suppose the difference of saying, I feel there is a new baby coming into your close family. I believe, in fact, it may well be your child. I wonder within the year you'll hold a baby girl.
is very different from you definitely will have a baby girl somewhere at the end of the year. And so just softening around the edges might be really useful. But I have to say, I've quite recently been far more bold than that. And I've said things that are maybe not advisable. This is definitely going to happen. Turned out it did. But it felt really real at the time, therefore offered that. But if you're a little cautious there, and I appreciate that, I assume more so in the States, but maybe it is more in other countries now, where we might live in a far more litigious society where people want to sue you for most things. I think that if you're a little cautious with your terminology, I really feel there's a great potential. I would ask you here to wake up and see that if things don't change, the outcome doesn't look great, as opposed to he's definitely going to die. Do you see that kind of thing? So if we remove the definite, the absolute, but everything and anything we truly feel in a very strong way, we soften our language around it. That's really something I would ask you to consider as readers. And almost if you're driven to it and are questioned, I can't guarantee, but the way it feels to me today, I really feel that there's a great chance of you falling all over, in love all over again. Just feels so marvelous. It feels so real to me. And I hope desperately it becomes your reality. In working in that way, where I keep repeating myself, I'm sorry, I'm working it through my own head, but where we soften our language around the strong feeling, I think it not only gives our client permission to change their mind or take a new course of action, but I think there's less chance of being sued for the promise. Best
Thanks.
I can do.
That's great.
How useful that is, I'm not really sure, but that's kind of where I'm thinking.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's another hand I can see. My glasses are in the other room. I'm so sorry. Could you just hi, hello. Would you like to ask a question?
Well, I just wanted to, I feel that you're absolutely right. What I tell my clients, I don't know if this will help anybody, but I'm showing you the window for today and giving you the information to make your choices, right? Because if I see something, I really feel I have to say it. But one time I told a person that they were, I felt they were going to lose their job. And she said, I don't want to. Then I said, then change it. Right. And she ended up keeping her job. Right. So, but she had to change her attitude around it. So yes. I feel like this is the window for today. I'm empowering you with the information I pick up to make your choice on how you want, how you want things to be. And I think that helps a bit with not getting sued for things,
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, I don't know anyone's ever been sued for anything in this way, ever. So I think if you're cautious with our language, as you suggest, and you present your information with this is great probability, this is how I see it today, and maybe even just the line, this is what I see today, but it may change tomorrow. You are the master of your own destiny. If you give them that permission, I think I would hate to read though feeling afraid I may be sued. I think I'd rather become a Jehovah's Witness. I think I'd rather do something else in my life, because truly as a reader, if you're working in the heart, usually your language is softer. Yeah, usually it's our human that likes to dictate. The soul, I think, is far more nurturing. So yeah, continue as you are. That's the way forward. Absolutely. But thank you very much for those two questions. Thank you very much. Should we have there's so much more to do and running out of time. What are we going to do? Oh my God. Let's look at prediction then as it's presented itself, if that's okay. Now, even the word prediction sounds hard, like it was a shape, it'd be a triangle with edges. It feels like a hard word. I'm going to predict for you if you like it or not. Prediction, as we've already discussed, is information that we truly feel sits within our client's life path. We're telling them something that we believe is a high probability of something that may well happen. I'd like them to suggest that we make it negotiable for them, even if we feel it's a huge probability, because you never know, God is good and maybe there's another way, you know, in all of this. But I think, again, to talk of someone's tomorrows is a huge part of the appeal of our work. Again, without going over ground, they want granny, they want maybe some kind of understanding of how to heal from yesterday, what they might do with the immediacy of their now to improve their lot and find a way of being happy. But I think people do come to us for some kind of guidance, or like to be guided by a steady hand, or to ask in what direction should they first face most for advancement in this life. And so working with tomorrows, I think, is an important part of our work. Are we terribly good at it? Not really, because most of us have been told it's a naughty thing to do. Therefore, we've never really developed the skills, you see. But I think tomorrow's is a huge part of the reader. How you offer it, what you say, and the softened language around it, I think you're beginning to see yourselves, is also such an important facet of this work, you see. So when you talk of anything of someone's tomorrows and their future aspirations and things that may well be coming up for them, something to negotiate, because if something's coming up, it's got to be coming up for a reason. It's got to be coming up either they can fully embrace it. So maybe you're reading with someone with deep depression and you're feeling there's going to be a bright day and a happy conclusion to a rather tardy situation and a breaking free from that limitation. So you offer it, you know, with hand on the heart, really believing that if you furnish them with this good news, that they're going to work towards some kind of healing within themselves. Imagine you're presenting something that seemingly feels very negative. It's then learning how to make a positive from that negative so they can then maybe embrace it more wholeheartedly and see the bigger picture. So, you know, you and I could read for any one of us now and saying, you're definitely going to divorce. Within the year, you're getting a divorce. Good night. But we wouldn't want to do that because it may damage and disable. But we could, in fact, say something else, such as, now is the time to really look at your marriage. What a wonderful opportunity this really is to see for self whether this is something you want for the long term or the short term. You are being presented, the both of you, with this most extraordinary and wondrous opportunity to embrace each other for the rest of your lives, or to dance the last part of this dance alone. But don't be afraid, and just consider and maybe ponder, and it's time for conversation. And you can make a positive, you see, from the negative, certainly. Let's imagine now you're in a situation where you're reading and you know she's married to a dirty dog. You can feel it. You know the signs. You know the guy's playing away from home. He's living a double life, and she's sat indoors watching reruns of Golden Girls, waiting for him to return home. And he gets home after midnight with lipstick on his collar. It's going to tell on you. You know, it's all there. You pick it up. It's a clear, done deal. The reading then isn't all about your husband's a pig. You got to leave him. The guy's a jerk. He's taking you for a ride. Run for the hills, madam. Maybe you just choose to read differently. Maybe you say other things, such as, I would suggest to you it's now time to look at this relationship, and how much time you spend together, where it's going, does it fulfill you? Is it making you happy? Work towards making it so. But if it doesn't, you may well have now to think, is this good enough for me? Is this all enough for me? Am I happy? And so you don't tell them what to do. You simply present them with the tools for their own advancement. You see this stuff, you know this stuff. I don't have, you're not babies, you know this stuff, you know how to work. And I don't know that other psychics / seers know this work at all. And this is why often the word psychic is so tinged by others' mistakes. Because I went to a psychic and she said he'd be dead by Thursday. You know what I mean? People say the craziest things in the name of psychism. And then ultimately the whole thing's tainted with a degree of disbelief or fear, you see. So all I'm going to say here, in anything you may offer for the tomorrow, it should always be given in a way that you believe is wonderfully positive, even if it feels difficult and rather more hard to cope with, as long as you're giving your client the tools for advancement and seeing the brighter side of things. Boom, boom. How do you get prediction? You simply blend with them on a heart level. You follow the story that presents itself. And the more you surrender, the more you start to recognize this is for tomorrow. It's like I'm telling you nothing, giving it away, like you run away and do your own thing. But that's exactly how it works. It's a learning how to read and make sense of, and read for 1,000 people till you learn your art. Do you see, in this way? Some people will never want to be told, ever want to be told. No matter what you say, they're so set in their lives and their need to control what goes on in their lives that they're not open to your inspiration. That's just the way it is. That just is the way it is. Now, let's look at prophecy now, if you will. Now, who's ever read that wonderful book, The Prophet? Who's ever read the book? And you'll have to remind me of the author. His name's at the tip of my tongue. Who's brighter and more intelligent than everybody else, please?
Khalil
Laurie.
Gibran.
Gibran.
Again?
Gibran.
Khalil Gibran.
Perfect, wonderful. The word, the prophet, is a wonderful. I love that the title is so simple. It's one word, my God, the prophet. Now, if you Google the word prophet or prophecy, invariably it will talk of a number of things. But the idea of prophecy is invariably not so much given to the individual, but the community or the family. So prophecy is somewhat different from prediction, where prophecy is something that we would invariably over the ages offer as she will bear a child, they will come pillaging over the hill, we will advance as a nation. It's really, it's information that affects the community, the society, the country, world events, and this kind of thing. To prophesize invariably is of the wider community, if nothing else. Now, when you hear of the likes of us that might offer a prophecy, invariably, it always sounds really negative, if you noticed. There will be death, coronavirus, plane crash, rape, pillage, and pestilence. And I think, believe now, it's possible to prophesize in the most positive way. There will be joy, there will be laughter, there will be kindness, there will be peace in Ukraine. I mean, you don't have to sit in the negative. You absolutely don't. And those of you that are more aware of sort of the work of a lady called Baba Vanga in Bulgaria, I think she's Bulgarian, as the blind mystic. If you read anything from Baba Vanga, she's a wonderfully interesting character, but maybe a bit of a Debbie Downer all at the same time. You see, you want to say, love, cheer up. Come on, get with the program. And I think sometimes we see prophecy as something that we should be afraid of. And I think that, I mean, I'm a baby in this field, but I can honestly say there are times when information has gathered for family, not just the individual. So today, one of the young ladies I read for today, her grandmother came through and she seemed very lovely. And she was the mother to them all. And this is this prophecy? I don't know. But the feeling was, as grandmother comes, she talked about so many children, so many grandchildren, all getting together, all going off to the Mediterranean. She wanted them all and saw them all in the month of going to this place in Spain, create it, make it. They're going. It's all booked up anyway. So it was wonderfully evidential. Well done, everyone. But there was maybe a sense of what she saw for the community of her family, rather than the individuals there. Maybe it's a baby step, a wee little baby step, you see, into the way forward. Now, without losing your attention too much, I don't know that we're terribly good at thinking beyond the individual that gathers. We can be like a working horse, incredibly blinkered in this way. But I wonder, with the world as it is, with North Korea, with Russia, Ukraine, with China and its armaments, the mental, political situation over here, listen, America, you're leading the way. It's the Reds and the Blues, but guess what? It's the Reds and Blues over here as well. Everyone's trying to get one up on somebody else. And then it turns out they're all crooked anyway, you see? Even the good guys are trying to feather their own nest. And this is going on. So the world may always have been, but it certainly is now, very much in a state of flux and disorder. Then comes the prophet. Could be one of you. Who knows? And suddenly you gain such a reputation of being able to hold space, sit in space, and be adored or held by the nations. And they wait for your prophecy as something in which they might embrace, God willing, a positive way, even if there's negativity in it. And so you could be the next prophet of the nations, where you might move into a slight altered state of consciousness, and through you flows information that talks about the strong possibilities for our tomorrow. But I would like it to be modern day prophecy, but there'll be enough leeway there that we will be able to change its outcome in some way. But I'd like it also to represent a positive as well as something as to be avoided. Something wonderful to look forward to, something needing to be avoided in this way. Are you with me? Now, it would need to be for the community, I would suggest, or for the family, at least, do you see? Now, my God, here we go. This is kind of scary time now. Because in a moment, I'm going to ask Nicole to pop us into groups of 2. And when we get into groups of 2, I'm going to suggest that you both work with your eyes closed. Because I think this is much enhanced when the recipient is so eager as to be in the altered state, as well the reader. The recipient leads the way. They're going to talk to you about a community in which they're a part of. So then it's up to you. It could be your community of work colleagues, your community of friends, your community of family. It could be a wider community, as in to include your cousins and aunts and uncles. It could be your town. So you don't have to expose too much of yourself, if you're worried about what they might say about your kids or something like that. You could talk about the town in which you live, the country in which you dwell. It could be anything like that. And the more I think about it, we could almost actually put a degree of almost like a safety net here, and actually start to talk about the town in which you live. Maybe let's just do it that way, safer, I think. So you might say, I live in Sleepy Rock in Dead Man's Hollow, or something like that, and you give something of your town name, and you allow your prophet to consider. Maybe you'll tell them of the landscape and the trees, or if it's maybe heavily industrialized, or the fact that we live in bungalows or one-story houses as opposed to townhouses. You talk about your community. You just talk about your community. And as they talk about their community, you try to resonate with that on such a heart level that your own soul rises and it starts to move to see the promises of tomorrow for that community. Now, who knows what you're going to say? New community centre, a flood at the town hall, a massive issue with congestion and pollution and emissions, something fabulous about a new mall. But this is a great way to start, isn't it? It's a soft start, I appreciate. But what if it is you truly do talk about the new highway going through the middle of the town, seeing people protest, only for this to come to pass? Do you see? It's a really good way of testing the water, because maybe you have the ability to prophesize and maybe you don't yet. So rather than let ourselves loose on someone's poor human family, let's do it for the wider community of the town, the location of where someone dwells. Speak about it. And the kind of thing you're looking for that community of people is anything that bubbles up into your awareness. If it feels seemingly a flood, be aware, be mindful, and be prepared. It's okay, isn't it? My God. Now, I was talking to you earlier about this terrible thing that's happened in Syria and Turkey. I say this very respectfully because lots and lots of people have lost their lives. That's 7,500 people at the moment have perished. But imagine if we were to work on this level for someone that last week on this level who dwelled in one of these towns. What would we have seen? I don't know. But you might have said, earthquake, earth tremor. Now was the time to tell the community to batten down the hatches. Who knows what we might have said? So almost do we not need now a prophet in every region who looks at the energetic well-being of the space in which many dwell, that we might be able to advise with regards to weather, earth tremor, asteroid, alien invasion, pestilence of frogs, I don't know, whatever goes on, town hall fire. Being aware of, we're so busy trying to know things about dead mums and dads, bringing wonderful evidence. But that's only a tiny part of your gift, a brilliant part of your gift. My God, how fabulous is that? Just imagine if you became the prophet for your town, seeking out its well-being, advising. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? What do you do for a job? I'm the town prophet. Well done, you. Who knew? Should we have a look at that, do you think? Well, let's have a look at that. It's uncharted territory, therefore it's massively uncomfortable. How lovely is that? What a beautiful way to agitate the human until you relax and surrender into this maybe quite unique way of working. Eyes closed throughout, groups of 2. Eyes closed throughout, groups of 2. 15 minutes bust are done, 7.5 minutes each. And then back in the space. Let's just see how we get on.
Sounds good.
Beautiful. Thank you, my dear.
Rooms are open. Okay. So I think I want to get rid of this guy here. Hang on, because I don't need that in there. How do I leave? Leave. There we go. So it's just you and I. Okay. So really, I don't have like a huge amount of questions. What I kind of thought is that we could just sort of talk about what we're doing and how we're going off in a different direction from regular mediumship. A lot of it you've talked about in the class, and we'll perhaps use some of that. But I just think it's super important how you're bringing in so much soul work and how we work in our own innate knowing within ourselves, and how that is something that we really need to expand on and work more as a empowered medium, empowered psychic, empowered person, with value to speak about to the human race and to bring that forward. I'm babbling now. I'm going to shut up. But anyway, I just thought this is a topic worth discussing, and I kind of wrote down a few notes about it last night, thinking about it. And so I think, over the course of time, all of us mediums get a little bit bored and stagnant with the same way we've been doing things. And we've learned to honor information that comes through. And so often, for me, when I'm practicing with other mediums, often it's like, hey, your car's leaking. And, it's seership, right? It's prophecy. It's spirit world giving me hints and giving us information about our real lives. That always turns out to be accurate. And anyway, so.
Yeah, no, I get it entirely. So really, I suppose we're talking about the progression of mediumship, seership, the psychic, etc. And I think the longer you work in this field, and we often go through a similar path of development, you start to recognize the importance of developing a real relationship with spirit people, that other dimension. And eventually you start to want to be there with them, representing them more so. So the idea that rather than talking about spirit, we become them. Rather than constantly trying to identify them, we allow them into the space in which we dwell. And this is really when we start to look at a type of mediumship where we develop such a bond and such a closeness that they truly become your friend. Mm-hmm. And it becomes rather addictive after a while too, because, like yourself, I've worked with normal mediumship and psychic for a long time, 35 years or more. And it's during that time that I've had wonderful moments, really, of knowing about someone's just recently passed mother. I've known that they're going to get a new job, and I felt clearly something rather inspirational for their family as a whole. And then oftentimes when you are in a good link or a good blend, you feel inspired to almost at times to close your eyes, or with your eyes open, fix on a place in the room, and you gently move into an altered state of consciousness. And I suppose it could be argued that we are all in an altered state of consciousness with everything we do, with our readings and our talking on behalf of spirit and spirituality. But nothing quite like the idea that when we know we're speaking, but we're not having to think about what we're saying, we find it pouring out of us, and we're engaging on a heart level, and information, as I say, is spoken, but it's not necessarily fully comprehended. We don't really know what we're going to say until we hear ourselves say it. And when there's been moments like that, for you and I and for others, invariably that information is profound. Invariably that information is emotional. There's a big reaction. And sometimes it's not about the words spoken at all, but it's rather more about the energy around those words. So you could say very little, and yet your recipient feels very emotional, and you've really just not even started, because the energy pulsates through the medium, through the channel, through the trance medium. Yep. And it has a massive impact, you see, on that individual. And so what we're trying to work towards here is, I suppose, one, gain a far more centered relationship with our own soul. So as spirit workers, we actually present our own soul first before we worry about any other souls that happen to be discarnate as opposed to incarnate. Once that's underway and we feel we're able to embrace self, and then the stars are the limit, really. And as you know, I've been trancing since I was 19. And that for me is really about getting myself again in a very centered space, and then waiting for this presence of this other soul entity that comes to blend with me. And of course, when it first happened, I was terrified. I didn't know what was happening. Was a real thing that happened at me. Now it feels so comfortable and so natural, but it's still the same entity, spirit person's guide guardian that comes through and speaks. And his words then are uttered through me. And unlike channeling, the idea is that we become distant. Consciously, we're trying to disconnect with what's being said, trying to place our consciousness somewhere out of the way. And we allow then spirit discarnate to come and take precedence, that their intelligence is uttered through the medium. Then that may be conveyed with words, or sometimes with gesticulation, sometimes with atmosphere, sometimes with transfiguration, where we see the change of the face. Sometimes there's a palpable change in the atmosphere around the medium, where it's possible to hear clicks and noises or smells or colors and this kind of thing. All of that is very possible. And it's very much akin to channeling as such. Channeling is somewhat different and yet a very comfortable bedfellow. It works very similarly, but the idea is when I've channeled before, I can hear what I say, but it's got nothing to do with me. I'm almost somewhere here listening to what's pouring out of me. And I find that also as interesting, as fascinating as trance, where the concept is come speak through me in the main, but I want to know very little. I want to place my awareness so far back that I want to come back from the experience, only then to be told by the audience or the group assembled of the things that had happened. And you might think, well, what's the difference between channeling and trance? Is a big debate. Lots of conversation, loads of things to be discussed there. But ultimately, channeling flows through us and we can become as a witness to the information that flows. Trance is really about trying to take the consciousness of the medium, make it so small that you leave more of self, that the guardian is able to manifest and speak directly. There's far more personality of the discarnate in trance than we might need to find in channeling. But it would be such an interesting thing to put these two worlds together and to see their similarities and their differences, and also to feel their collective impact upon those present.
Wonderful. Awesome. Totally great. And just to kind of talk a little more, if we can, that was great for what we're doing for the trance thing. Actually, we probably don't even need to, but I just thought, you know, we've got this same topic, psychic prophecy and seership coming up for summer June. And we're going to keep going in and out of a box kind of that we're working with now and expand on what we're doing. And I just, I don't know, I just thought maybe we want to, you know, entice people a little bit about some of the things that are different than what we're doing normally in our normal world. It's, I think you've covered it throughout this class that we've been in. I can probably pick apart the video, but.
I'll do it, no problem. So looking at psychic, prophecy and prediction, these are all fields that I work. Psychic, prophecy and prediction, these are all ways that all those blessed sensitives that have gone before us have naturally worked in. Unfortunately, we've lost so many of those brave folk that would put themselves out there and share their gift with the world. For this type of work has been replaced with evidential mediumship, which is wonderful, and it's exactly what I do. But you can't underestimate the need to know things for the humans, to know things of their own destiny, what fate holds, what it is the power that surrounds us all needs us to know in community, to be able to give such guidance that isn't based on a whim or the mental mind of the medium and their thought process, that we still have to enter a degree of the altered state, that we feel information bubbles from the heart, where we again can advise those who gather close to us and help them to negotiate safe passage through their own lives, to give them something to hold on to, something to aspire to, that we might rid them of fear for tomorrow, that they may face their tomorrows in a far more educated way, that they may know of the pitfalls and be able to sidestep them where necessary. It's a very important part of the work for normal people that will seek us out for the wisdoms of the soul. And these wisdoms may well be the wisdom of our own soul's being, but certainly we can incorporate the additional support given and the intelligence wielded from the others who come close to us as we work. And so in a 3-day course, there's so much more time that we can really start not only to ensure there's plenty of time to tick boxes of all the things that we want to achieve, but there's plenty of time here to develop new concepts. And that's one thing I just love to do when I teach, and that is to find within myself new areas that I've never touched before or knew before. So my favorite thing to ever to experience is a wow, aha moment where I've never thought of that before. And that's really the benefit of a longer period of course, that we can do that together. We can certainly start to work towards uncovering and remembering what our soul has come here into the realm of the physical to manifest, to achieve, to perfect, that we may again be able to bless others with insight, bless others with the ability to just look further in their human world to help them to negotiate happiness for themselves. So yeah, we'll start to use all sorts of wonderful new techniques and imaginings that we may go into this new way of working for some, that really will hopefully enhance how they are able to offer one-to-one and even demonstrate for those who feel drawn to that, but certainly in the one-to-one can be hugely enhanced by working on this level, meeting the need of the humans that will seek us out.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you. Grand. Yeah. I mean, I think of how many times the spirit world has saved my butt. I mean, saved my life, given me hints in readings, done things to help me negotiate my life. And I'm like, I'd be like toast if I didn't have their guidance, right? But it's often like, hey, look out, like the future, you know, here it is, right? So I don't know, we need to develop that. I think it's an important aspect of things. Groovy. Great. Wonderful. Okay, well, we'll some kind of little blurb out of that.
I'm just grab my glasses. Well, I should just, how much longer have we got in that group?
They'll still be in there another 10 or so.
Okay.
Oh, no, no, not right. We only gave them 15 minutes, didn't we? So they'll be in 3 minutes.
Okay, cool. I'll get my glasses and I'll return.
Okay. It's a much better effect when I give a warning about the recording message going on, I think. I should.
All is good. All is good. So I do trust you are okay through that little exercise. Let me ask Ronnie, please. Would you like to come share with the group?
Sorry.
Thanks,
Hello.
Julia. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Very good. How are you from Australia?
Well, I'm actually a Kiwi, but I live in Cairns,
Oh,
Australia. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I like Cairns. Very nice. I've been there before. There's a spiritualist church in Cairns, isn't there?
No.
Yeah, I'm sure they used to. I'm sure I've been there. Maybe it was in
Oh.
I think, run by a guy
Ah.
called Norm.
Oh, okay. Must have been a long time ago.
I'm old. Sorry. 100 years ago. But did you find you comfortable in that exercise?
Yeah, I feel that you know, having our eyes closed and just feeling into it really helped with when I was with Karen. And yeah, it wasn't as nerve-wracking as what I thought it was going to be. It was just relaxing into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a thought, really, for all of us, really. If we do that another 100 times, it'll very quickly become our norm. Another 10 times, very quickly it becomes your everyday. No stress, man. You know, it becomes easy thereafter. It's only because we fear going somewhere new. And you have to consider, for as a group, really, when you do your one-to-ones and you exhaust grandmother and grandfather and flap caps and Wellington boots, you know, twister, and there's nothing else to say. The moment, and I say it too, the moment we say, oh, I think I've got everything now, I think I've done everything I can possibly do, just how horribly limited our repertoire is. Because really, we should be able to read for 10 hours for someone. I mean, please don't ask me to do it. You can do it. But, you know, we can read and read and read and read and read and just keep changing direction and focus. The more we work on this level, the more we encounter more areas of expansion and as to develop and to inquire. The readings, in fact, could last for hours. Whether we or our recipient could maintain and sustain the energy that it would need to muster to sustain us is another thing entirely. But the next time you say to a client or to each other, I think I'm done, there's nothing else to say, and all you've done is talk about gypsy creams and treacle tarts and grandmother's warm embrace and so on and so forth on that level, it's still brilliant. But I want you to repeat these words. God, I am so limited. And that's brilliant to be limited, because then you can break through. If you see the limitation, you can break it down. Yeah, very interesting. Well, listen, okay. We're fast approaching the end of this hour session. Now, we've done nothing. We've barely tickled this stuff. I mean, in fact, you should ask Nicole a huge refund, because we've done absolutely zero, because it's a massive subject, huge subject, in fact. So you are all cordially invited to a 3-day event on exactly the same thing, where we'll have 3 times as long to move forward. So Nicole, what is the dates for this new shindig that we're doing?
It's June 27th, 28th, and 29th.
On the same title, isn't it? Same title. Not to be repeated. Yeah. I don't remember what I say.
Yeah. It'll be, I may spiff up the title, but it's the same topic. It is the same title on my page. I'll put the link in there in case anybody wants that. Well, maybe I haven't put, no, I can't.
Say the dates again, please.
They're June 27, 28, and 29. It's not up on my website yet for registration, but it will be by the end of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then what's the next one we do together, Nicole?
March 9th and 15th, and I know those are like a week apart-ish, 6 days apart, and we're doing a demonstration, but in our unique and wonderful way, right? So looking at new ways to demonstrate, bringing in the psychic aspect and different things that you've been working with in the new revolution of demonstration.
Yeah, absolutely. I did an eclectic dem the other week. Great fun. Really, so much more diverse and vibrant. I had a lovely time. So come along if you can. It'll be on my website or Nicole's. And then I've already asked Nicole's permission just to say to you that I've got the end of this week, we close a program that I've got coming up, which is a teacher's program. So you don't have to be a teacher, but if you want to become a spiritual teacher and teach subjects from your own circles and whatnot, a number of our ladies, Jennifer and Kelly, We're in that this year. Make sure I'm not letting anybody out. And I know I've got 1 or 2 of you are joining me this time around for this year. So if you're at all interested, it's sort of meeting 2 and 3 times in the month for sort of 4 and 5 hours at a time. The teachers program, there's 1 place left. 1. So if you'd like to join me, you don't have to be a teacher. You just got to want to help. You just need to quickly send an email to Anne. Anne's email is Tony Stockwell PA, as for personal assistant, Tony Stockwell PA at gmail.com, and she'll send you the form. Just 1 place left. It'll be closing that on Friday. Thank you, Nicole. Allow me to mention that, my dear. And I shall love you and leave you and wave goodbye to Kelly and Jennifer and Stacey. They were our teachers this last year. Had a lovely time. And if I missed somebody out in that, please forgive me. Can't catch all your faces. And some of you I'll see in the next couple of weeks. Margaret certainly, and others, and Lisa. But otherwise, I'll say God bless you all. See you again soon.
Tony.